welcome back to Trail Boss. I'm your host, Whitney Winter-Smith. Joining me in studio today is Brian Winter, and we are talking to King of the Ring contestant Chuck Bradley. He is out of Rockford, Alabama, and a previous reserve champion of King of the Ring in 2019. He then went on to win the World Championship in 2021 with LMA. We're so excited to have you on today, Chuck. I know it's a busy season for a lot of folks, so we really appreciate you taking the time to sit down and chat with us for a few minutes. We want to, start from the very beginning of your auctioneer career. How did you get started in auctioneering?
It was a high school dare, believe it or not.
Really?
So we'd always done something really cool for the talent show every year. And we went to this little sale on a Friday night, and a buddy of mine said, what are you going to do for the talent show this year? And odd time to talk about it at a chicken sale on a Friday night. And anyway, he said, well, I bet you can't figure out how to be an auctioneer. So that's just, that's really where it started at. And, wow, the miles that have come since then.
What a crazy story.
You can't make it
yeah,
up.
And this, and no, you can't make that up. And he's the best. He's being modest now, but he's just the reigning LMA champion. Just was that last week when you handed that off to Will?
Last Saturday.
Yeah.
It was a pretty fun deal. Though at the time I didn't know. I was in high school, a senior. Had no aspiration to be an auctioneer at all, and didn't really care about it after that talent show. I mean, it was just a funny kind of ha-ha deal, and everybody got a kick out of it. It was over, and it was, I don't know, 3 or 4 months. I played football, so it would have been after the fall. Football season was over, and my dad and I went to that little sale on a Friday night, and the guy says, he's walking around, it's like 7:15, supposed to start at 7, and he says, I don't have an auctioneer for tonight. And I didn't think twice about it. I had my dad said, hey, this boy of mine, he'll get up there and do it. And I said, what are you talking about? He's like, get up there. He says, just chickens, And that, that old guy's like, yeah, get up there and do it. So I did. And, it just kind of turned into an every Friday and Saturday thing. And, it turned out, I worked that from 2000. That was 2011 when I graduated high school. So I got married in 2016, and I was still doing it in 2018. And of course, kids getting older, and they wanted a boat because we live by the lake, and so you can see where that went. And so we had to make time. But it was a great thing.
Did you have a mentor through that?
I think I listened and watched every YouTube video that there was after that of every auctioneer that, you could think about. And there were several of them that I liked, and I always were drawn more to like the cattle auctioneer style versus anything else. And growing up in the South, naturally I went to the cattle sale with my granddad as a kid. And so, you had that. So the Southern guys and the faster chant, that rhythm always set better with me personally. And, I just kind of connected to it a little bit better. But there was lots of them, the Brandon Neelys of the world, and, Brian Little and Jay Romine and John Corey, and of course, Charlie Cummins, all those guys, you watch them, and they're these, they're the best of the best. And so it definitely helped. And I think I pulled something from all of them, and kind of made it my own. And it's worked, it's worked out.
You bet. Yeah. He's got his name etched right up there at the top with those guys now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man.
Yeah. Competing with a lot of them too. We just had Brian Little on last week, actually.
Yeah. I guess one of the biggest highlights of my career, other than winning the LMA, was, getting second to Charlie Cummins in 2019 at the King of the Ring. I mean, it was a defeat nonetheless, but, to lose to somebody like Charlie, somebody that you had looked up to and you had watched videos of, I mean, it was a cool moment just in itself to be there, with him and Ralph. And, it was a great contest that year too. And,
Deep field. Yeah. Eight world champs in that field, I think. And you would have you'd make it 9 now.
I mean, it was, when I saw when I heard about going and I was like, yes, I'm in. And, then you see the lineup and you go, I don't know that I want to be in this, in this thing. You got Ralph and Charlie and Brian and, Jay, and I think Lynn Langvart was in it, and Blaine Lotz. And, you sit back and you're like, yeah, I think I drew the short end of the straw on this one,
Held his own, though. Held his own for sure.
Absolutely. That's a cool full circle moment, too, of like growing up and watching them and taking notes from them, and then, one day you get to show up and compete right alongside them. I think that's kind of cool to see how life unfolds that way.
Justin Dawson and I shared that moment the other night. I told him, I remember watching videos of him in the LMA contest, and I'd never gotten to meet him. And then I met him at the qualifier in Cherokee, Oklahoma. And then the other night to get to introduce him as a reserve world champion, that was like full circle. It was, I remember in 2011 and 12, watching videos of this guy and just, it was like, he's a superstar. And then, you get to meet him and hand him an award. And that was pretty cool.
Yeah, he had a good run, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. He's smooth, too.
Yeah.
So you mentioned football, and you had a competitive streak back then. It sounds like you didn't back down from a dare, even in high school. How does that play into your drive to compete still today?
Yeah, so, I've said this a couple of times, and I'm sure it's been reiterated for years and years, but, I've never woke up on the day of a contest or a game and said, I hope I get second today. You've just, you go to win, and winning is not everything, but it sure has a lot to do with it. It makes it it makes it a lot easier and fun time, when you win. But, I think it's made me better as an auctioneer. Definitely by going to contests, and especially when you get somewhere like King of the Ring, that is a pristine, imitation, top quality. You're invited to it. It's the best of the very best. It's a place to where if you're a past world champion or top 10 semifinalist, you take somebody like Jay Romine and Brian Little, they've been in the top 10 of that LMA contest for, let's just say 10 or 15 years.
Yeah.
And, and it doesn't matter if they've ever won it or not. Both of them are champion guys, period, and great friends. But when you talk about competing with somebody that's had that competitive edge for 10 or 12, 15 years, and they know what it takes, to be in there, I think that you can only get better around people like that. And in a contest setting, like that. That everybody lifts each other up. We're all there to win, and, there's only going to be one winner. But if you don't get better from one of these contests, whether it be the King of the Ring or the LMA or whatever auctioneer contest there may be, if you don't get better from that, it's your own fault, because it's laid out. It's laid out for you to maybe not succeed right the first time, but it's laid out. It's designed for you to get better. Absolutely. And so it's really, really, really helped my career by being in these contests. And so last year in Nashville, it was just, I was lucky enough to win. But if I, like you go back, if that had been my first contest, there ain't no telling what it would have looked like.
Yeah, every one of those contests has its own story too. You know how it goes. You got to be just right at the right time, competing at a really, really high level, and the judges. You click with the judges, and it takes a lot to win and to take home that crown.
Yeah, absolutely. How do you prepare for competition day?
I used to get really, really, really uptight about it, and I would overthink the whole process of it. When you get a prepared speech in your mind that you're going to give your introduction and you're going to do that, I throw all that out the window anymore. I'm a maybe not fly by my, seat of my pants kind of guy. I wouldn't really go that far, but I think when you don't have to give it a lot of thought and you just be genuine and be who you are, I think you get along a lot better, and that's in life or contest. So I'm a natural. I like to be funny. I like to tell jokes. I like to make people laugh. And I think that I just, I try to relate that into when I'm selling or giving my introduction or speaking to somebody. And I think just being yourself makes it so much easier for me. I mean, you look at the field of people this time. I mean, all of those, I know every guy in there, like on a personal level. I mean, I've got their cell phone numbers, and likewise for them. So it's really like a big reunion in a way. I mean, we're all there competing, but you just think about it. You got to do your best. Win, lose, or draw. When we start that contest, it's a real sale. I mean, there's real cattle there. Brian's got all these customers lined up that they wanted those cattle in that sale because the very best of the best is coming to town that day. So whether I mess up a little bit and have to cover it up, because I'm still human, world champion or not. I mean, I can mess up just as good as anybody else. I think there's more pressure on the fact of that we're having a live sale. These farmers are there to get a check, and we have to represent their cattle in the way that Brian and them has advertised it to be. I think there's more pressure in that than the actual sale part, the whole contest. And I think that's where that value is for me as a contestant.
Yeah, there's a lot to that, and just being genuine and letting yourself shine through that day. Does that help with the nerves?
Oh, you bet. Absolutely. I don't, like I said, I don't like to prepare anything. You get up there and you just be yourself, be genuine about it. And most people, they accept you for who you are, especially in this industry. We get accepted every day for who we are, regardless of what we're wearing or where we came from. We represent an industry and ourselves first and foremost. And then I think that the business that we get off of that or the jobs that we get to do, I think it strictly reflects, how genuine you are and being yourself around these people. And I think it makes them a lot more comfortable. And in turn, you can feel that as a contestant, when everybody's relaxed and the judges are relaxed, the crowd's relaxed, your buyers are buying, the market's good. And Brian and them always do a heck of a nice job getting, with a good market. So I think it's just, you feed off that energy, and it makes it so much more easier to have to be a contestant. And heck, you get like 15 drafts out there at Dodge. I mean, you're in the box for 25 or 30 minutes. I mean, you got plenty of time to get comfortable and really have a good run.
And go get the money. And he can do it.
What's it like selling in an unfamiliar sale barn?
The first time I walked, Go ahead, Brian.
Well, I was just going to say part of his duty last year was, how many barns did you go to?
Oh, it'd be 35 or 40, I'm sure.
Oh, wow.
He traveled around the country. It's a neat responsibility as the LMA champ, and to travel to all these barns. So sorry to interrupt you, but go ahead.
So you probably get kind of used to it.
I think every one of them's got their own personality, if you will. You can just, Brian and him has been in the sale barn business a long time. Y'all have owned, I guess, 4 or 5 of them at one time. You own 4 now, or 3 or 4.
Yep.
And so, in each one of those barns that you go to, even though you own them, they've all got their own personal feel to it. And I think, and that so reflects so much over this whole country about where you go and the people you meet. I never forget the first time that I stepped into Dodge City. It's pretty intimidating. Once you take it all in. I'm from Alabama, so we sell a lot of cattle one at a time. I guess everywhere in the state does, unless you get some group cattle, which you don't get much of. So you can only, if you had to weigh some in the, in the ring or whatever, you're only going to get 10 or 15 head in there. That's probably the biggest ring anywhere around here that you could weigh on. You walk into Dodge City and they crack the door and they run 75 of these 9-weight steers in there and weigh them all at one time. It's pretty intimidating. That's a big stage to be on. And, the whole sale is just wrapped around you, and you're just like engulfed in it. And it's a pretty overwhelming thing. It's fun. I think I remember the adrenaline I got when I first sat down in there. You're on the main stage and, there's like 8,500 head of steers behind you. It's pretty big shoes to fill, no matter who's up there selling. But those barns have got their own personality all over the country, and I think that's what makes this industry so great.
Agreed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's so true. I've just been to our different sale barns, and I totally can see that with the different personalities at every place. The people make the place, you know?
Yeah.
You bet.
So what are you looking forward to most at this year's King of the Ring?
The golf tournament.
All right.
No, it's you know, I got to experience that, you know, there a couple of years ago. I think that's the biggest thing. I said the other night in my LMA going away speech, if you will, you know, there's no title that could ever take the place of the connections that I've made in this industry as a whole. I've been fortunate enough to win some titles, but at the end of the day, I'm still Chuck, and I'm the only person that I can control. So, you know, I said the other night, being a good human being is a pretty good career path because there's not a lot of people that are standing there trying to, you know, that's going to beat you to the punch. I think those golf tournaments and those handshakes and that time, that camaraderie time between contestants or market owners or whatever, those are what makes the people. That's what makes the contest. You know, it's not who wins and who loses. I'm gonna be just as happy if I come in 10th place out there as if I come in first. You get a little bit better check by winning first place. And I will say that, but there's no amount of money that'll take in the relationships that you make through this industry, and then especially a contest like the King of the Ring. I mean, there's just not. There's nothing else like it in the world. There's really not.
Yeah, and absolutely, that was our goal in getting it in place and doing it, was getting these people, industry icons, if you want to call it, but all these people together and showcasing the cattle we have and getting these guys and letting them kind of be on their own and not. The contest is fun, it's exciting, and has kind of high stakes. But when you take the whole day, it's all about the relationships you make and who we're working for, the customers, and helping them get top dollar for their cattle. So, and it all works together.
You bet. You know, it's you take it all into consideration. Like I said earlier, you're in a live sale. You know, these people are entrusting you as an industry icon, if you will. You know, to people in this industry, market owners and auctioneers, you know, to some people and to some extent are, you know, they're famous. You know, we some of us world champions. You know, you get these little kids that run up to you and want you to give you their autograph, and that's what it's all about. Because to somebody at Walmart this evening, if I go, you know, that don't know me, it don't matter if I'm a world champion auctioneer or not. They don't know me. You know, it's all within that industry, and
Right.
And it's a close-knit industry. You know, we're all in competition together, but at the end of the day, we're all in the same business for the greater good of the industry, right? I mean, beef as a whole, you know, that's what we do. So you get all these guys in one setting. I mean, it's just fireworks are bound to happen.
Oh, yeah. It's powerful, and we're super excited for it. It's coming up really soon. I was just looking at the calendar the other day, and it is only a few weeks away. Chuck, it's been so great talking to you. Can you give us a sample of your chant before we go?
Sure. I'm at 31 and 2, 2 to the 3 to the 34 to the 5, 600 35 35 6, so 135.
Woo! That was great.
What number do you want those on, Whitney?
15.
You bet.
Awesome. Thank you so much. It's great having you in today. We really appreciate it and had a great time talking with you.
You bet. I enjoyed it. Thanks for having me.
Yep. Good to see you, Chuck. See you in a few weeks.
All right, Brian. All right. Y'all take care.